So where do I begin with Johnny English? No, I didn't know hard feelings. I love the original. I remember watching it quite a lot of times. I had a making of DVD that was on VCD copy, but believe it or not, I got it from Empire Magazine back in 2003. It was, one of my favourite films that year, probably more so than Finding Nemo, as over time. I did see the sequel at the cinema. I saw it on DVD eventually a little bit later, but I finally managed to make it to go see Johnny English Strikes Again. In response to my frustration, I didn't get to see the sequel when it first came out. I was busy and I had a lot of stuff on my mind at the time, but thankfully it wasn't great. There was a few issues with the way it was executed, and the villain wasn't that interesting, but it definitely had, the old world charm that I remember from many years ago with, "Oh, Mr. Bean, Bane, Johnny English, and Blackadder." He's doing that sort of thing of being, charming, but also quirky, and all like that. "Oh, Mr. Bean." So he does that bumbling thing as well. I would say they notched it up to a few degrees from the previous predecessors, because there are scenes of heavy slapstick where he shows off his ass. He falls from a great height, and he's strapped onto like a sort of Excalibur Knight sort of costume. And there's a scene where he accidentally gets someone's phone to try to show proof of a villain who's trying to hack the entire world, and he's a tech billionaire from Silicon Valley, which kind of sounds a little like what's going on with Mark Zuckerberg and that stupid Facebook. So I thought that was a clever addition. Makes it kind of modern. There's a lot of slapstick in it, and he has a new femme fatale played by it's Mila Kunis looking lady, and gosh, I think she was in Quantum of Solace, believe it or not. So, good one on working hard to try to get them up and running, try to bring that sort of pastiche of Bond even to higher levels. And speaking of Bond, you're probably thinking, spy movie, Grimsby, Kingsman, which I really, really love. I love Grimsby and I love Kingsman. But this isn't it. It's not funny or ridiculous enough. It's also, doesn't have a very good villain. Those other films I just mentioned, they were certainly a lot more interesting and a lot more at your face. Also, they were 15s, so the language and violence was certainly going to be a lot more on the more explicit end of things. This is PG, but it is on the higher end of things, because you do get hear a fair bit of swearing, including the word bollocks in the first minute or so of the film, which I was like, not bad. And also, a scene where he uses a virtual reality setting, bashes and bonks people out of random, not too far from the Twinings tea shop over in London. A few things here and there about the movie that kind of reminded me a lot of home, that I miss about, and I think that's the charm of it. But at the same time, it definitely doesn't have the sort of strong, this is so original sort of factor that I got from the first film, or even recent spy comedies like Grimsby or Kingsman.